Hello, Jenny Hall here for Honeybee Stamps. Today I'm sharing a card that has very sweet light colors created with Birds and the Bees stamp set and coordinating dies and the Fluttering By stamp set. I'll start the project by placing the images in the Mini Misty stamp positioning tool, and I'm going to stamp them with light brown dye ink. Any shade will work as long as it is something that coordinates with all the pale pastel colors. If you'd like to follow along the coloring, all of the Copic Marker colors are listed on screen, and all of the product supplies are listed in the video description with links. I'm going to use very simple coloring today by using just a very few markers for each different color. For example, the brown is just made with 2 colors of brown, very light shades, and then I'm using a gray marker to add just a little contour down to the bottom side of the branch. I'm going to color the leaves in much the same way. First, I put down a very light shade of green, then dabbed on just a little bit of the darker green, and then using that lighter shade again, came back to smooth out that darker green towards the middle of the leaf. Very simple coloring. This is my easiest method for doing Copic colors, and it's almost a go-to for me. I'm going to color the birds in the same way, in so much as I'm laying the darker colors down into the areas that would naturally be more dark. I'm not sure if a baby bluebird is just as blue as the adults, but this is where my imagination is just going to go with it, and I'm going to have all of the birds be the same color. I'm using the coordinating dies to cut out all of these images, and they do cut so very well. My die cut machine is a Gemini Junior, and just one pass through works perfectly. Now to create a background for those images. I'm using just a regular piece of white cardstock and using Distrexx Oxide inks in Spun Sugar and Antique Linen. When these two colors meet in the middle, the reaction is just beautiful. The Distrexx Oxide ink pads are available in the Honeybee Stamp Store. Did you know that they carry a full line of Distrexx Oxide ink refills, and sprays? Totally cool. This color that is coming and emerging in the middle of the paper is exactly the color of the sunrise that I see at my home in Missouri. And so I thought it would be wonderful to recreate this scene. I have a bird feeder on my back porch, and I often just sit and listen to the birds with the sunrise. It's just beautiful. Now to cut this out, I'm using a rectangle infinity die from Hero Arts, and I'm testing first to see if the panel is dry. None of the embossing powder stuck. Perfect. So now I know I can emboss my sentiment. This sentiment is the one that's from Fluttering By. There's lots of really pretty sentiments in that stamp set that I can use with other images. So I'm going to stamp this in Versamark sticky ink and then apply white embossing powder and then use the heat tool to heat over that area, and the embossing magic happens every time. It never gets old. I love to watch that embossing powder melt. I'm going to mount this panel onto a top folding A2 sized card. And now I'll attach those die cut images, and I'm going to use some liquid glue so that I can get that branch just right. Sometimes if I get it in the wrong place, then that liquid glue allows me just a few seconds to move it into the right spot. Now I'm going to add the nest and the baby bird and the mommy and daddy with some double-sided foam tape, And I wanted it to look like the mommy bird was giving a kiss to the little baby bird, so I positioned them to where their beaks would touch. Very sweet. I'm going to finish off the project with some Moonlight Rhinestones. These are available also in the Honeybee store. They're very, very pretty. If you haven't seen them in real life, oh, they catch the light so beautifully. Thank you so much for joining us today at Honeybee, and I hope to see you next time.